You know what I learned watching this movie is that women or girls learn at a very young age how to be almost expert investigators or professional investigators. This movie also highlighted good reason why they do. Hello everyone, my name is Max Aaron James. This is a review of the movie Missing, story written by Anish Shaganti and Sev Ohanian, directed by Nicholas D. Johnson and Will Merrick. It stars Storm Reed, Nia Long, and Ken Lang. Now, how this movie is filmed is where everything you see on the screen is on a screen of an electronic, whether it be a laptop, a phone, or a smartwatch. You notice how we no longer call this smartphone or cell phone? It's just phone. It's become such commonplace. And the thing that we would have called a phone in the past is now called a landline. Flip phones aren't even called cell phones anymore. There's flip phones. Anyway, this movie, again, you see it what's on a screen. So that's how you see everything. So a camera's typically on that device, so you see from that camera. So you're seeing on that screen what the camera's picking up. This film is a sequel, spin-off in a way, of the movie in 2018 called Searching. I kind of got the titles mixed up with these two movies. It looks like I'm being held prisoner with how plain my background is. The movie is about a mother and boyfriend who go missing while on vacation in Colombia, and the daughter of said mother, June, uses her tech savvy to investigate the mystery and tries to get help from a variety of people. It's a very creative use of screens and use of tech, and it was very realistic with how she communicated with people and how people responded, right? You see the three dots pop up when someone's typing and then it goes away for a moment, or there'd be a pause, and even the response and reaction time of considering should I answer this call or do I want to answer this call when things weren't so dramatic is very realistic, especially for someone who is a teenager. The only other film that I saw that was shot this way was Unfriended back in April 2015, and that movie was not good. So admittedly, I went into this movie kind of hesitant, especially considering, like I said before, it's January, where a lot of throwaway films end up finding themselves at. Storm Reed is in 90% of this movie. It focuses on her intensely, and it follows her through this investigation and through this journey. This movie is, I would say, a drama thriller, and I'm gonna have to say this movie was surprisingly really good. Now, the reason why it kept my attention, especially going into the second act or by the second act, is because of the many twists. The first twist was kind of expected and wasn't too much of a surprise, but then it was followed by another twist, and then maybe 5 minutes later you get hit with another one. At one point I didn't even know what was happening, in a good way. I did not know what was going to happen or how this would end. I wasn't even sure who was who or what was really going on, and that's what made me more invested, and it felt like I was really on this journey with Storm's character, June. I almost called with Storm. I really give props to Reed because she did fantastic as June, and I feel that most times she was either in a supporting role or she was placed in a movie that maybe did not get as much recognition. Here, I thought she was absolutely fantastic, and I see a bright future in her acting career. Like I said, I was fully invested by the second twist. And a lot of the scenes were very intentional. It felt there was nothing that I would necessarily cut out. Dialogue wasn't amazing, but it was good enough to keep me interested, and every character had their place and had their role in this story and in progressing the story. And once they no longer served a purpose, they were immediately removed, so it didn't feel like they were just shoehorned in to the very end. For me, and I would say a lot of people I spend time around, probably would not give this movie a lot of credit prior to watching it, but now that I've seen it, I will recommend it to some people because it's a good watch. Now, I do recommend seeing it on a big screen because of the intensity and the suspense, and you do feel like you're on that screen or you're viewing that laptop or cell phone right there. But I would say leave it at like a matinee, maybe. That's pretty much it that I feel comfortable saying without spoiling it. It was good twist. Nia Long and Ken Lang did good on, again, their roles, but they weren't in the movie too long. Again, Storm Reed took up most of the movie. Otherwise, it was mostly just looking on a screen and seeing people typing, but that didn't take too much time, so I wasn't too worried about that. Stayed invested and interested, and I was happy with the ending. It felt good. I will say, before we get into spoilers, is that this January has been surprisingly very pleasant. You have movies like Megan and Sick, which are in horror subgenres, and both were pretty good. I think they both had all the elements for a good movie, and they just happened to fall a little flat, but they weren't horrible. And now you have this movie, and you have the movie Plane with Gerard Butler and Mike Colter, which I said in my review was a pleasant surprise and was a very fun and entertaining. And now we have Missing, which is the top for me at the moment for this month, and I'm not sure what else is coming out, but this one is probably going to be at the top for the month. We'll see. Now let's go into some quick spoilers. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, but I'm going to highlight or address some scenes and maybe some issues that I had throughout the movie. Now, one thing that's difficult, I think, with these kind of movies where you're only seeing what's on a screen is sometimes it feels unreal or it feels very young adultish. It feels like it's targeting towards a teen or young adult audience, and it kind of pulls me away from it. And maybe because it's relatively new, and a lot of the movies that have come out in the past like this are horror movies with teenagers in it that aren't very good. And I will say that horror movies that aren't really good are typically movies that are targeted toward that audience. But I think that's more of a personal thing and not so much the approach of the movie, although I think it could have been executed a little bit better. Secondly, I would say dialogue, which I said before did not ruin the movie for me and did not ruin the story, but it kind of took away some elements. I love the twists throughout the movie, and I mean twist with an S at the end, plural. First, you find out that Ken Lang was a con man and went to prison. Next, you find out that he actually maybe cared for Nia Long's character. Then you find out, no, he didn't, and he actually worked with someone else. Then you find out that he hired someone who worked at a bar who ends up getting arrested. You find out she's not really a part of it and she was lied to. You find out Ken's character gets killed and that he had someone else who, there's a boss man, there's someone above him. And to a point, for a split second, I felt bad for Ken's character. The reason I felt bad is because you see that he maybe was trying to change, but he was taken advantage of and in a way conned. He was a con man at one point before serving his time and then was conned. He did willingly choose to go on with this plan, but he was still used and still seemed like he was, maybe this would have been his last plan and last, what would I say? It was his last scheme. Then you had the woman that played Heather Damore, who was Nia Long's attorney or family advocacy lawyer. And she, at first, you feel, okay, she's just no help. She doesn't seem to really care. Or she seems to be completely out of the loop. Then later on, you find out that she's been in contact with this boss guy, the top guy, and you think, oh man, she was in on it. Later, you found out she wasn't in on it. And by the time you find that out, she ends up passing. Then there are more twists because you find out that Nia Long's character, that's not what they say her name is, which I forgot, is not her real name. And so now you're quite wondering, who are these people and what's really going on? Then when you finally get to the end where everything kind of reveals itself in one moment, you're kind of in awe and realize you understand it better now. Thing is that it? And there was one point when everything was getting revealed and a certain event happened. Actually, I'll say June's character gets kidnapped and then everything is revealed. You think this might be the end of the movie, which for a moment I did, and I was like, this is it? This is the end? Wow, this is an intense ending. I don't know what's gonna happen now. Is it a bad ending? I feel that maybe, and hopefully this thought was crossing the minds of the director or the storytellers, that the movie or the story would end there, because although it would be a bit morbid or a bit dark or not a happy ending or a pleasant ending, I think that would add a good, tight feeling on someone. The way a movie ends leaves a big impact on moviegoers, especially when they leave the theater. To end something with an intensity of not knowing how things are, things end up being unclear in a good way, I feel that's a good ending. Anyway, it didn't end there. You find out that, Nia Long's character is still alive. June, it ends up in that same area, and they find a way to escape. That's pretty much it. I won't say who the big boss is. I won't say how everything unraveled. I won't tell the story about why things happened the way they did. Just the way they did was pretty good. So that is the end of spoilers. I did forget another thing. There's a character who lives in Colombia that is helping June's character. Trust me, these are not spoilers. So that character played his part, and then once that information or the usefulness of the character was empty or gone, then there is no longer need to bring the character in. And that's another thing I appreciate. I think every actor did very good in their role. I had fun with this movie. I appreciated it. It had a good intro that you think you know what's going on or what's going to happen. And it had a good ending that is a complete flip of what I saw coming in. I don't know how long the movie is, but it didn't feel very long. Felt like something that I would see in an episode because it went by so fast, and there's so much being revealed, layers on layers, that you don't get bored. You really want to know what's going on, and nothing is too obvious or nothing's in your face. But as things get revealed, then when you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. For people that really enjoy the movie, they might go back and watch it again and start pointing out clues. Anyway, that's my review. If you do watch it, I hope you enjoy it. If you have watched it already, what did you think about it? Hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, y'all take care of each other. Check up on one another, check up on yourself, and remember, potential has no limit.